So let's get started. Let's get things underway. Now, as Westmen, we live in fear of anti-white slurs, and that, just by the way, that's how we should always refer to terms like racist or bigot. We should always refer to them as anti-white slurs. It's important because it frames our position. It puts us in a position to defend ourselves. It puts us in the position of a group. It puts us in the position of a individual being victimized, and at the same time, it smears the person using the term. So it disempowers the person who is using the term. They are using it from an artificially constructed, like a sort of superstructure on the outside of a building, a moral high ground. And when you reframe the word as a slur, you automatically knock them off of that moral high ground. So anti-white slurs. Often these slurs precipitate social lynchings, and we live in fear, a regular fear of these social lynchings, because they begin with an anti-white slur, and then they become ostracism when it comes to our friends and family, and they become often character and career assassinations when these slurs make it out to the general community. We also fear these anti-white slurs because we end up being hauled before these anti-white tribunals. You know, you had like these witch tribunals of the past. Well, now you have these anti-white tribunals at our universities and at our places of work. You say the smallest thing that deviates from anti-white ideology, anti-white slurs are hurled your way, and then you're dragged before these anti-white tribunals where they either expel you or they fire you. And when one of those things don't happen, you nonetheless always incur permanent stigmata on your record for having this happen to you. So we live in fear of these things. This is a very real psychological fear that we undergo, and that is never discussed. It's not even discussed in the white positive movement. Think of the trauma that an individual undergoes by having to constantly fear. This is like you have the post trauma from having been in battle. Well, this is like the pre trauma, the anticipation that you're going to be socially lynched, the anticipation that you're going to be hauled before one of these anti-white tribunals has an extremely injurious effect on you psychologically, physically, mentally. And so this is a fear that we live with every single day. And it's the kind of thing that we have to discuss. It's the kind of thing that we have to discuss with our friends and family. It's the kind of thing that we have to discuss when we are attempting to persuade those who are our prospects. We have to talk about this sort of trauma. The trauma, of course, in my Going Free doctrine is called white noir. So this is a big part of white noir, is this incessant, and it's a background thing. You don't necessarily have to be focused on it at all times to have it working its deleterious effects on you, mentally, physically. It's always in the background. It is always haunting us. And these lynchings, these social lynchings, are no less deleterious for us than if we were physically dragged out of the house. Our lives are very often ruined by these social lynchings. And the anti-whites know this. Think of the anti-white female, the non-white anti-white female, when they were attacking this young man at the university. What was his name again? Very recently, just a few weeks ago, who said he loves white men, Abil, or whatever his name was. When they were attacking him, and he finally said he couldn't have enough, he couldn't take anymore. He started saying that he loved white men. He started speaking truth to power, didn't he? He started saying, enough of this. We have discovered and built, yes, Julian Abil. We have discovered and built the majority of things. We have unearthed the secrets of the cosmos. We have brought them up. We have made the lives of others infinitely better because of our abilities, because of our Faustian or Promethean spirit. It is in us, and that is why we do these things. People live 3 times the length they would have lived. Lives that otherwise would have been lost in childhood are now preserved because of our medical technology for no reason other than we saw something that had not been conquered and we wanted to conquer it, a disease that hadn't been conquered and we wanted to conquer it, a new frontier that hadn't been conquered and we wanted to conquer it, a new hostile people that were attempting to conquer us, and we were able to defeat them and then civilized the territory. And then of course they move in and say, where's ours? Where do we get where's the line to get me my Gibbs? Where do I line up for the social welfare? It is because of us that these things happen. But to my point, what happened when he spoke truth to power, when Julian spoke truth to power? What happened was this non-white, anti-white female said, Twitter, do your thing. Twitter, do your thing. The anti-whites know that they run the show. They know that they are in power and that they control things, and yet they continue to perpetuate this anti-white narrative that they are the underdog fighting against this omnipotent oppressor that is seemingly just everywhere, ubiquitous in its nature, this white devil that they have to resist at all times. Why do they continue? Why do they perpetuate this doctrine? They perpetuate it because it is empowering. And one of the most important elements of that doctrine is, of course, the word racist. The concept racism may indeed be the most powerful pillar of the entire anti-white doctrine. So we're going to get into that and we're going to talk about that.